Welcome everybody to Viada's Tiny House Village. I'm here with my partner and my co-host, LA Vauban Asset Builder. We are going to talk today about the golden goose, or the goose that laid the golden eggs. I don't know how many of you remember that story, but it's like a Aesop. It's a fable, right? LA, what is it? A fable?
It's an Aesop fable.
Aesop's fable. So LA did a show on his blog talk platform today about this topic, and we want to expand on that because I got so many ideas and thoughts and about it when he was sharing with me. So LA, what is it about? First of all, for those people who are too young or who don't remember the story of the goose who laid the golden egg, can you share with us what exactly is this story about?
Well, let me share this. A short one, and you can look it up online. There's videos, books written. But let me tell it real quick, because apparently there's a lot of 40, 50, 60 plus year olds who never heard of the story,
Right.
which I find crazy. Anyway, so there was a farmer, and this farmer was a poor farmer. And one day he discovered a goose that was on his farm. And this goose, it was just one, laid gold eggs. But he only laid one a day. But that one a day was enough for the farmer to take to the market and sell on a daily basis. And he was able to get his bills paid. He was behind on his child support with his baby's mama. He paid. He got the. He was in. He was going to lose his house to foreclosure. He was able to pay off all his bills and start to save money by this one goose that laid one gold egg per day. So one day the farmer was thinking, you know what? If I cut this goose open, I can get more than one egg. So he took a knife and he killed the goose, his one and only goose, and slit it open and looked inside the goose and discovered there were no eggs. And then he fell behind on his child support payments. He fell behind on his mortgage again, back property taxes. They repossessed his tractor. They repossessed his Bugatti and Tesla. He got a whole lot of those golden eggs while the one goose was producing them, one a day. So the moral to this story is don't kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. Now, let me give you a modern. What does this fable have to do with 2022 and beyond? I'll give an example. This is real life. There's a lady, happens to be African American, black, whatever you want to call her. Her name is Mignon Francois. First name is spelled Mignon. Last name spelled Francois. Mignon, she's still living. She is a mother of 7 children. 7 children. And at one time, she was living in 2 rooms with herself, her husband, and 7 kids. They fell upon some hard times. They were behind on the mortgage payments to their house. The electricity and water got shut off the exact same day. So can you imagine living in 2 rooms with 7 children yourself and a man. It was kind of rough. When they bathed, they had to transport water in, and the baby would take his bath first because the baby was the cleanest out of all of them. All right. So one day, Mignon called her grandmother, and her grandmother gave her a recipe for cupcakes, and she had to dictate it over the phone. Take a pinch of this, a dab of that, a spoon or a teaspoon of this or that. So Mignon wrote, but Mignon didn't know how to bake. She didn't know how to bake a cupcake. But out of those 7 children, 1 or 2 of her daughters did know how to bake cupcakes. So they were giving away cupcakes every now and then. But one day, a realtor comes knocking on the door. The lights are out. The real estate agent says, why is it dark in here? Mignon says, well, I'm meditating. States of business. So the real estate agent said, those cupcakes you've been passing around for free? Could you whip up a batch of 60 of them for me as soon as possible? And I'll pay you $1 for each one of those cupcakes. All right? Get them back to me as soon as possible. So Mignon took the order. She didn't take a deposit. Mignon only had $5 to her name. And mind you, she had to use that $5 to feed the family by the end of the day. Sometimes they ate like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So she went and took that $5, her last $5, with them 7 kids. Okay. Bought the ingredients for the cupcakes that grandma gave her. Made the cupcakes. Oh, she had a generator in her house, by the way. And she made 60 cupcakes, called the realtor. The realtor came back that day and paid her $60. She took $5 out of the 60 because she needed that to feed the family anyway. Long story short, she took the $5 and turned it into 60, and the 60 into 600, and the 600 into 10 million. She was able to pay off her mortgage, save the house from foreclosure. Now she has 2 cupcake factory locations. One's in Nashville, Tennessee, and the other one's in New Orleans, Louisiana. The name of her business is called The Cupcake Collection. She's got a series of videos on YouTube. You can look up, and you can go to her website, cupcakecollection.com. Now, I'm telling you this, or what does this got to do with Golden Goose? Grandma's recipe was the goose. She turned that goose into 2 geese, and the golden eggs are the cupcakes. Everybody has got at least 1 goose that can lay golden eggs. The end.
Good story, good story, good story. Now, this story has some weaknesses to it, in my opinion, of course. But I like the way you brought in the modern day baby pan, baby mama, golden with the golden eggs that were being laid. When you were describing the original fable, baby mamas are in there somewhere, huh?
Yeah.
That may be a concern for some men on the planet. So, but the creator of this fable brings in a lot of ignorance on the part of the farmer. That number one, cutting open a goose to get more eggs out of him. What mindset does that? And I like to think in the tiny house village, we'd have more, number one, we'd have more respect for animals and life. So that the golden eggs are coming out of this brain here. The goose was going to probably die eventually anyway. So if you think about the wisdom behind it, the metaphors, the allegory, the symbolism behind the goose. Okay, what's really in modern day 2022, who's really the goose? What's really the eggs? I know you probably look at the eggs as money. right? These golden eggs are money, current
Resources.
resources, current. Well, and according to your analysis, it sounds like the golden eggs are more like the energy of money because he had resources to buy, the farmer had resources to buy more things for his house, more things for his wife, and all that. And then the mother of 8 7 8 children, she had the money, the energy to buy food and pay bills and do all the things that we do with currency right today. So I like to think more of in the village, tiny house village. We're minimalist. We don't want to consume a lot, so we don't need a lot of money. First of all, but we do need creativity. And I look at the brain as your goose, and the golden eggs are what comes out of this brain, this hat, this brain. Because if you don't, even if you don't have a lot of money, I have been working on the principle that even if I spent my last $2 bill that I had in my safe or my last $2 in the bank, the universe will provide for me. And that's the way my life has been run for a long time. I'm not a person who is good at saving money. So if that goose were laying eggs, they would be going out all over the place to help people, to build, to do whatever I needed. But at some point when the goose dies, then what do you do? If the goose dies, or let's just say the woman who's making the cupcakes, her supplies run out, and the people who are making the supply, the flour, the eggs, let's just say she can't get the supplies she needs to make the cupcakes, then what do you do?
That's a good question. Everybody who's ever been born or ever will be born, including so called minimalists, doesn't know anything when they come onto this plane of existence. We're all ignorant in some way, shape, form, or fashion, really for our entire lives. Okay. We have to learn everything from scratch. That's everybody, you know. So learning how to be sustainable is a learned skill. Learning how to pay off $100,000 house or $1 million house is a learned skill. Sustainability, being a parent, is a learned skill because you didn't know. Like I said, when we were born, the common denominator between us and everybody on this planet is we knew how to do two things. We knew how to relieve ourselves, own ourselves, and cry. That's about it. So any skill dealing with sustainability can be learned. Now, this farmer or the guy with the child support, they haven't learned the golden, what I call the golden egg or the golden goose skills to be sustainable for those particular areas in their life. But they can learn, anybody can learn at any age.
So if your resources run out, then you have to look at what you would call social capital, right? You
That's
got
just
to have
one that's just one form of resource. That's just one type of resource.
right. So we can agree that you definitely need some eggs in your basket or in your creativity resource plan. Otherwise, you could be homeless. Now, if you're homeless, what do you do then? Because there are so many people who don't need a big house because they don't know how to take care of it. So many people who don't need a big
Which,
car.
which is which is if you maintenance, house maintenance, that is a learned skill.
And some people can live all their life and they're not going to learn how to take care of a house or a car because they have other priorities, other things they would rather do. And then gentrification comes to the neighborhood, and there goes the neighborhood because there was no maintenance. So, maintenance, I think we agree, should be started early if we're going to work on the goose laying some golden eggs. That's you. I think the goose is you, right? You have to have the creative mind to know where you can find these resources, how you can use these resources, and if the resources run out, then what do you do? That's why
Well,
we
here's the thing: resources really never run out. It's we have to learn how to recognize what a resource is and how you can convert enough. For instance, I had a great uncle. He didn't when he was coming up. He only had a fifth or sixth grade formal education. There was no Home Depot, no Lowe's, no Menards, no hardware stores we know him today when he was coming up. He knew how to go into the woods, identify trees, the right trees to cut down. He knew how to make his own lumber to build a house. He had those skill sets. Your grandfather, I believe, he had some skill sets. Somebody taught them those skill sets. So, like I say, if you don't know anything, it's the resources are all around us. We just have to recognize them, and then how how to develop the skill set to convert those skill sets into something sustainable that we can use.
And I think along with that, we got to have a sense of a spiritual energy always ready to help us, divine energy always ready to assist us. Let me give you an example. My sister and her family are in Vero Beach vacationing, and her granddaughter is, I think she's 10 years old. She's bored stiff. So someone suggested, or she suggested, why don't you do a lemonade stand? Now, how old is that idea? But it came up in the mind of the grandmother or the granddaughter. I don't know who came up with the idea. So she sets up a lemonade stand on the street in front of her, on the front of her house. And guess what? This little girl made probably over $300 because people were so impressed to see a lemonade stand and a 10-year-old making an effort to do business with something as simple as lemons. So I told her dad, I said, you know what? I was talking about the golden goose and all the egg and all that. And I said, your daughter found lemons as her golden eggs or whatever. Yeah,
Well,
she was.
the lemonade stand business is the goose. The selling of the lemonade are the gold eggs.
Well, I don't know. That lemonade stand's not going to keep going without her creative mind because actually what happened, they ran out of lemonades and she had to ask her dad to go buy more lemons. So
Well,
no, the lemonade stand is the product that was produced, or the business that was produced from her golden mind, her creative mind. That's the
you
way
can
I
look
look.
at it that way. You can look at it that way.
Yeah,
But
there's so
because she can set up a chain of lemonade stands. But
well.
that's a good example. That's a good example of
I don't know
her
about chain
thoughts.
lemonade stands, but because there are
Mm,
young people who are selling their product to Walmart now. They started
right,
out that way, and now
right.
they went into production and they're selling it to Walmart and grocery stores. And there's one
Mm.
young lady I can think of. I
Well,
think she made
that's a
lemon.
good example. The example that you gave with this little 10-year-old girl, that's a prime example of the goose and golden egg principle. It's a simple idea. It's not original, but it worked. She
So
made
I like.
300. That's a paycheck for grown people. $300. That's a pay. Some people have to work a whole week or even a whole month to make that kind of money.
And it wasn't because the price of her lemonade was high. It's because people felt led to just donate money. Some woman came by, bought some lemonade, came back, went to the bank and bought her $100 bill just because she was so proud of her. Now that to me is the golden goose being your brain and your energy to put out something to benefit people on this hot day. It is so hot in Florida right now. That's why I'm still wearing my hat, because the sun was just too hot. But it's so hot in Florida. What do people need right now when they're outside? A cool glass of lemonade. And
Right.
she's making plenty of money because she was in the right place at the right time with the right temperature and with the mind, the golden goose mind, in my opinion, that said, I want to help people enjoy this day by I'm going to provide for them. I'm going to bring them cool glass of lemonade. On a day like this, you couldn't ask for a better product to be trying to sell. Where people, what is the need? People need a cool glass of lemonade. And
They
she
need
provided.
to they need to rehydrate with a tasty drink.
Yeah. Now the
But yeah,
thing,
that example is a perfect example of the goose that laid the golden egg.
well, and the example of the cupcake, you know me, I'm a holistic life coach. The idea of selling cupcakes to me is anti-productive in a society that needs to improve their health, in my opinion. We don't need any more cupcakes. But because of the needs of that woman, the heaven spirit provided her with a start to feed her family and to pay her bills and to do what she needed. But I think we can get more blessings out of energy we put forth to help this body to be healthy and stronger and to build a strong mind in our children. So
Well,
I
there
mean,
are healthy cupcakes now. They're gluten-free cupcakes, so
right.
they've got an answer to that.
Right. Okay. So I hope she's on moved on to the gluten free and the sugar free and all that. But I think the story is beautiful of someone using. That's why I think the goose is the creative mind. The goose is the creative mind. What comes out of that can either be rotten eggs. You know, you out on the street selling drugs. There's a guy named Ali. He's a comedian, and he was a drug dealer, and he ended up 6 years in prison. And he's a comedian now because he learned how to tell jokes in prison. He brought humor to the prison life. And when he got out, they were asking, well, what are you going to do now? He said, I'm going to tell jokes. And they were like, ah, ha, ha, yeah, right. You're going to tell jokes. The guy is getting millions of views on YouTube because of his joke telling, of his reality in prison life and his life
Well,
in general. So,
another example of the goose,
is here. This is the goose
right,
in my. The goal, what you lay is up to you in your awareness of why you're here and what are the needs. I mean, every marketing teacher, lesson, workshop has tells you, well, who is your market, right? Who's your market? How are you
right,
going to be
right,
successful selling anything unless you know that you have a market for that product, right?
right,
So it starts up here. The golden goose, the goose has to will lay golden eggs that provide milk, baby mama income or whatever. If they create a product that is really going to move us along in our consciousness, our health, and our love for mankind, and all of that, because we can lay go eggs all day, but I think the golden part is when we do
yeah,
it
but they need to be gold eggs.
when we use wisdom. They're going to be gold eggs when we use wisdom to bring forth from the golden creativity energy in our mind, when we bring forth wisdom in whatever we're producing.
Right, you're right.
So
You're
I hope
absolutely right.
I hope this blesses everyone. LA and I are always communicating and coming up with these needs of our community of village, tiny house villagers. And I think this is an example of how to simplify your life with your goose, your golden goose egg laying mind. And as LA, there's so many different ways to produce golden eggs and produce the energy of money if that's what you need, or whatever it is you need. If your mind is healthy, you got to have a healthy mind. The drugs are going to interfere if you're doing drugs or any or addicted or anything. That's going to interfere with you producing golden eggs that will produce
Right,
give you the resource, will be a resource or energy. Money is just energy The golden eggs, in my opinion, will be the energy you need to buy or barter. How about bartering? We've got to have a show one day about the power of bartering, all the many benefits of bartering, and leaving out the money part. That's a whole nother show we want to present to you, because LA's been in communities where there was bartering. Do we have, well, how much time do we have? Maybe you could just share a little bit about your experience in bartering, where there was no energy, there was no need to even have lots and lots of golden eggs and cutting up geese to find
Well,
even.
the golden, we already explained that concept. So I have visited communities where this one in particular, um, where they practice the time bank or time banking concept, which there are videos and websites and Wikipedia articles on that, where your money basically is really no good, but your time is valuable. All right. And just let me set this up. In the United States this land didn't become the United States until July 4th, 1776. There was the United States dollar did not even get legislated into existence until 16 years later. So how did George Washington become wealthy, and the people who signed the Declaration of Independence, they were already wealthy? How did people get wealthy 200 years, 300 years on this continent before there was even before there was even the concept of the United States dollar come to play? Well, they did it through bartering, time banking, um, and community currencies. And time banking basically says, look, there are 24 hours in the day, okay? And everybody, as long as they're breathing, has that same 24 hours in the day. So like, for instance, I might need my house cleaned. So I said, look, Viata, if you come over and clean my house, give me 2 hours worth of your time, then maybe I'll give you some bread, food
Yeah.
that you want to eat. I got a citrus garden in the back. So I
Right.
got 15, 16 trees. I got about 5 pineapple patches. I got three. All right, out of the 2 hours, then you can come here and you can spend 30 minutes. No, no, no. I owe you 2 hours. You gave me two, I owe you two. So I'll give you 30 minutes that you can have at it at the citrus orchard. Then I might have a vegetable patch somewhere else where you can get kale, spinach, whatever. Another 30 minutes, have at it there. And then 2 hours, you might need some help with your tiny house. So I'll give you 2 hours worth of help, social capital with your tiny house. So that's how time banking works. You know, people are exchanging time energy for whatever they might need on a material needs basis, including food, water. Because I have a well here. I have a well with a reverse osmosis filtering system. So I have bottled quality water. So I might say, okay, Viata, you can come over and bring over, I'll let you have 100 liters of water. Come on over, whatever you think. That could be worth some time whatever we negotiate on. But
Right.
that's the time banking concept.
So we want to have this system operating fully in our tiny house village, because it's the most simple system. It's creative, and everyone doesn't have to worry about not having enough golden eggs. We just have to share what you do have, and everybody has time. So
Hmm.
there's no shortage of time in the village when everybody is of the mind to share what they have, what gifts they have. And that way there's less conflict, less fighting, less arguing. And we have to work that through. So in our next video, we're going to give you some more ideas about bartering and not having to fight over golden eggs or even work too hard baking cupcakes to make those golden eggs. Okay. So any last words, LA?
No, well, I like cupcakes.
And I like oranges and blueberries. Oh my goodness. We had if you've never had frozen blueberries, you got to go to a blueberry orchard one day and then freeze those babies. And my grandchildren love frozen blueberries. So we're going to talk more about that and more in our next video. Thank you, LA, for bringing your knowledge and wisdom. And we
All
appreciate it.
right.
Don't forget to subscribe and like
And
this.
like the video.
Yes, thank you very much. All right, everybody have a good week. We're just starting out. This is Tuesday, June the 14th. More to come later. All right, let's rock on out of here with Retro Soul.